evening and welcome to the regular meeting of Hamilton City Council for September 28th, 2022. It is a little after 6 o'clock and we're here in City Council Chambers, 345 High Street. We do have 3 public hearings this evening, one involving amendment to our annual action plan. The other 2 are zoning, changes in zoning ordinance, including Dayton Lane, North End, North 2nd, North 3rd. Roll call, please.
Moeller.
Present.
Pullman.
Present.
Fear.
Present.
Vaughn.
Present.
Ryan.
Here.
Nab.
Present.
Lauer.
Present.
We have the quorum.
We're going to start off with an offering of prayer by Councilmember Eric Pullman, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you are able.
I want to start off saying that, first of all, I think everybody here is directly or indirectly has somebody that's being impacted by Hurricane Ian that's going through Florida right now. So I want to dedicate the prayer tonight to everybody in Florida. So Lord, we ask you to please watch over the citizens, friends, and family in the state of Florida as they go through the devastation of Hurricane Ian. Watch over the police department, fire department, National Guard, linemen, doctors, nurses, all organizations and volunteers that will come to their aid. We ask for their safe return to their homes as they try to recover from this disaster over the next few weeks. We ask this in your name, our Father and our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we now go to special presentations, and I believe the first one is the Health Department Accreditation. Kate Farrar, our Health Commissioner.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, citizens of Hamilton. I've been asked to speak to you tonight to talk a little bit about a recent accreditation that we received from the National Board of Accreditation. So the institute is called FAB. It's Public Health Accreditation Board, and they accredit local public health departments as well as state health departments that meet certain standards that are set nationally. The City of Hamilton was awarded FAB accreditation on August 18th, 2022. Since accreditation, we are now able to use that symbol. That's our symbol that we are an accredited health department. FAB accreditation provides a framework for health departments to identify performance improvement opportunities, demonstrate credibility, develop leadership, improve relationships with the community. It serves as both an accountability and a transparency mechanism and is a step on a journey to transform public health practice. The City of Hamilton Health Department submitted nearly 500 measures and documents in the 12 public health domains. These documents were then reviewed by a team, and then a 3-day site visit was scheduled. Due to COVID-19, our site visit was virtual. That was real interesting to have it virtual. We were ready to have them come in and had books ready for them to review, but instead we were hit with that. As part of that 3-day session, and it's all day, they meet with our Board of Health. So they spent a half a day with our Board of Health asking them questions about us and how we conduct business and how we inform them of what we're doing. And then as well, there was a 2-hour session with all of our community partners, and we had an abundance of community partners that showed up for us. I was just very well pleased because it was the middle of the day and they had to spend 2 hours with us as well as the site accreditors to have questions asked of them. Accreditation has been awarded to a total of 314 local health departments of the 3,000 nationally. So we're quite happy with where we're at. I want to acknowledge our entire team, and they've all come tonight so that they could stand up and you could know who and who contributed to this great accomplishment. Catherine Yang, she's our nurse. Jonica Creech, if you guys could stand, I'd appreciate it. Alicia Ritchie, she's our accreditation coordinator and also our registrar. She was the go-getter. She kept us all organized and told us, we have to move faster, you owe me some documents and et cetera. So she was quite the force for us. Nicole Pennington and Cindy Hogg. So that's our team, and like I said, we're very, very happy. We worked at it a long time, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Kay. Well deserved and well earned, and thank you, the entire team. Okay, next we have Public Energy Week. Jim Williams, Director of Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, staff, citizens, and guests. I am Jim Williams, your Public Works Director, and on behalf of the Department of Infrastructure, we would like to announce that Public Energy Week is next week, October 3rd through the 7th, 2022. Publicly owned utilities across the United States celebrate Public Energy Week for the first full week of October every year to help customers and stakeholders understand how they can better engage with their community-owned utility and benefit from all its offerings. I'm going to flash through a couple of pictures from previous events that we held prior to COVID. It's a celebration that matters most to us, which is you. It's a celebration of you, our customers. That's because here at the City of Hamilton, we are public energy, both electric and gas, for our community. Our Department of Infrastructure's mission is to provide safe and reliable energy services that we all depend on. So come and join us next Wednesday, October 5th, at Markham Park from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. for a cookout, free food, drinks, educational displays, exhibits, and more. There will also be a coloring contest for kids kindergarten through 6th grade. Did I miss something? There we go. A coloring contest for kids from kindergarten through 6th grade, and I think there'll be a lot of activities that people will enjoy. So come out and join us. Is there any questions?
Thank you for bringing it back. I know the citizens who show up during the lunch hour, this is, I know in the evening, they learned so much, and you had some individuals demonstrating various things. So thanks for doing this again.
We're happy to, and thank goodness that COVID is over so we can. So appreciate it.
Jim,
Thank you.
what's the start and time again? I'm sorry.
It is from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Thank you.
at Markham Park.
Any other questions? Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, sir.
Next one we have is the train depot relocation update.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, citizens of Hamilton. I have one slide tonight to review with everyone. First of all, the framing, bracing, windows, and doors work has been ongoing for the last couple weeks. They are continuing to do so. Also, the tin ceilings are going to remain in place. I know we've had conversations about removing them prior to the relocation. I talked to Steve Kuhn and another contractor who strongly suggested leaving them in place. There would be more damage done to the tin ceilings trying to remove them and then replace them after the fact than the risk of having them damaged during the relocation. So we're going to leave them in place as they exist today. And that way there's no danger or no risk of them having not put back in the right location either. Also, while Kuhn Restoration has been doing their work, they discovered an entrance into the basement of the single-story building. We had thought that that was a building that was on a concrete slab. Unfortunately, it's not. It's a wood flooring with a concrete cap on top of it. And there's about a 4-foot gap between the bottom of the floor and the ground below it. So we're going to have to remove that floor and replace it with gravel in order for the moving company to properly lift the building and relocate it. So I've asked Kuhn Restoration for pricing to do that work as well. I've talked to Wolf House Movers, and they're tentatively mobilizing for the early November. They have a couple of big projects in October and a couple of smaller projects at the end of October, 1st of November. So I'll be in contact with them to see how we can get them more firmly scheduled for the actual move. And also I found out this week that Vickers Demolition received approval on their insurance from CSX as well. So I think we were all behind. We're beyond getting everybody approved and being able to work on the site. So with that information, I'll be preparing a more detailed schedule once I get the information from Kuhn Restoration on the removal of the floor and that work, and I'll be sharing that as well. Are there any questions?
Rich, will you share the pricing for various things as they
Yes.
occur, like for the?
Once I get that
Floors.
information, I'll update the spreadsheet that has all of the pricing on it and make sure that everyone is aware of where we're at on the budget.
Great. Any questions? All right. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Okay, we now go to audience of citizens. Individuals wishing to make comments may speak during this part of the agenda or may reserve the right to speak when there is that particular item up on the floor for the vote to take place. All individuals who wish to speak are required to sign this blue public speaking book. Each speaker is allowed up to 5 minutes. Okay, first we have Dan Hancock.
My name's Dan Hancock, and I live at 67 Herman Avenue in Hamilton, Ohio. What's the land at the end of Mark Avenue and that turn into a city park here? What's the council been doing on that? Have they contacted the Board of Education? Have they contacted Sarah Crothers to help move along and help get state funds for it?
I think one of the first steps has got to be the school board.
The school board wants you to get a hold of them.
Okay.
That's what they told
Well,
me.
I haven't heard that, but
That's what they
anybody knows
told me, and
anything, tell us.
it's on the website. I mean, if you look at it, when they on the website at least once a week, they're from the school board and that. So they want you guys to get a hold of them and that. So,
Kind of a strange way to tell us is through a website, but
So I did have a conversation after you spoke earlier to me about this with the school superintendent. I don't think it's as clear as that. He was going to get back to me with some additional information, which I've not received yet, but I will certainly provide it to council once I get it.
okay. The other thing is what's going on with the North Hamilton crossing. Were you doing anything about it? Or were you just sitting around? And do we have a map of what
okay. I'm going to address what you say at the very end, so I'm just going to make a list now, okay? So second's North Hamilton Crossing. Is there a third topic you want to talk about? Because we're going to talk to all of them. I'm going to respond to all of them at the end, myself or somebody from the city. So second's North Hamilton Crossing. What is third? Any other topics you want to talk tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, what's third?
The crosswalks down at Lindenwall, and that they all, with the bricks as a crosswalks, they all need to pull the bricks up, relay the sand down, and put the bricks back down because they're caving in. They're throwing blacktop in it, and the blacktop's sinking in. So all the brick crosswalks down there need to be pulled up and redone and made a correction.
All right, making my list. Is there something else?
Yes.
Okay.
What's happening with the warehouse down there in Lindenwall? They were going to make an apartment built out of them, and also up here at Heaton and Martin Luther King, half the building's torn down and that, and they were going to leave the facing on it and that, so we get money for restoration and that to help make them into apartments and that.
What?
Right up here at Heaton.
Oh, back at paper. Oh, okay. Okay. Anything else?
The roof on the train station is falling in. We're going to take it down, and what's the cost of going to take it down, or what's happening? And also, we have to shovel tons of gravel underneath there into the basement, fill the basement up and that before they can move the building. So is that going to cost us any more money?
All right, I'm making a list. What else you got? Anything else?
Yes, the bike trail and that. We painted the fencing from Cleveland Avenue up to Eaton Avenue. It looks really nice. But the new part of the bike trail going from Cleveland down to Beach Street, it's not been painted. It's going to start deteriorating, especially with the winter coming on. While we paint the same brown paint that's on from Cleveland to Eaton, paint the same brown paint all the way down. And one thing, it'll make it look nice, plus it'll make the fence last longer.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it. Okay. I'm going to try and address them quickly myself. If I miss anything, will you? Absolutely. Anybody on council? North Hamilton Crossing has a stakeholders meeting coming up within the next week or two. So that's another big step in choosing the location. So that is moving along. You've got engineers talking to city people. So that is moving along. So it's not just standing still. Regarding the crosswalk in Lindenwald, if you give us exact locations, give those to
all the crosswalks.
Okay.
All the crosswalks that are brick. There's about 4 or 5 of them at all those intersections. They're all caving in, and a lot of them have just thrown blacktop over where they caved in, and the blacktop's starting to sink in that.
All right. Is that who's? I mean, I'll have the city manager probably address that one here in a second. The Beckett paper, that is coming along. It's a process. It's not something you can do overnight.
Okay.
The bike trail, we've got some good volunteers cleaning up that bike trail, and we're probably going to start developing more volunteers to help do some of the things that you have mentioned. The train station, I'm unaware of the ceiling caving in, but I know Rich Engel's on top of that situation.
If you stand down there,
City Manager, anything you want to say?
Yeah, just a quick follow-up on a couple items. The North Hamilton Crossing stakeholders meeting is Tuesday, October 4th at 5:30 p.m. at Miami University Hamilton.
Okay.
We're following the DOT process. If we don't follow the DOT process, we don't get funding. So we have to go through the process that they've established. Both Schuler-Binninghofen and the Beckett Paper Mill, both projects, they are both working on the architectural plans that have to be submitted for historic tax credits. The plan is to have both those projects submitted, one of them actually this fall for the historic tax credit round. There's 2 a year. One of them will be the spring of 23. The Schuler-Binninghofen project was in bankruptcy and foreclosure actions on 2 separate parcels that was finally cleared up through the Butler County Court of Common Pleas literally probably in the last 30 days. So we had to wait for that, for the court action to proceed with that project. I can tell you that there was a meeting this morning at 10 a.m. at the Schuler-Binninghofen with the proposed development team and some city staff. I can tell you that I have seen the architectural drawings for the Beckett property. But again, you can't, if you start a project before you get historic tax credits, they become ineligible for historic tax credits. And that's a huge part of the capital stack on both projects. Probably 20 to 30% of the overall capital stack will be the historic tax credits. Finally, the crosswalks in Lindenwald. I mean, I noticed one actually this morning where the bricks have settled. I've not had a conversation with Rich or his team yet, but in the past, we've actually removed some of those and just put asphalt and painted lines just because the maintenance of a lot of those brick crosswalks is relatively expensive, and so we can evaluate that and bring a solution back to council.
Dan, I think you've observed this administration and this council work probably faster than any other government, but there is still a process for each one of these projects. And sometimes we can't change that process as much as we would like to. So you heard from the city manager. I think he addressed everything appropriately, different moving parts in some of these, but all those projects we are working on. We truly are. Mr. Knapp.
I was fortunate enough to have a conversation with one of the school board members who asked me pointedly, said, Tim, how much money have you got to buy that park? Dan, we're all, as the mayor and as Joshua shared with you, we're all working on these projects. And again, I've invited you to come. As you've now heard, there's a meeting next Tuesday. You're invited to come to that. It's a public meeting. You're invited to call us. You have my number and ask me and say, hey, Tim, how are we coming along on the park? How are we doing on filling the potholes in the streets that were repaired on Hermé and Mark? I hope you've noted those things. So we do take your comments to heart, and they are fixed. The roof on the train station we knew isn't in good shape, and that will be fixed in order to make it able to be moved down to the new site and things like that. So as I've shared with you, we're working on all these projects, and I hope you have faith. As the mayor just said, we're a council of action, and our administration and the team members here in the city, the engineers and all the people that are working on these projects are diligent in being able to be held accountable, and we're trying to do those things. So thank you for your help tonight.
And Dan, your passion for the Mark Avenue Park is great. I don't think we would be thinking as much about that if it wasn't for you, okay? So I'm saying thank you for bringing some of these things to our attention. But this is a great administration and a great team, and I think you've seen great things happen. Anybody else have any comments to make?
Mr. Mayor.
Please.
Just a correction, the meeting for the Northampton Crossings at the Butler County Engineer's Office.
Not Miami.
No, it's going to be over at Butler County Engineer's Office, and I have to back up the mayor and Tim. What they said, I am on the board of the TID over there at Butler County Engineers. We talk about that every month. It is very important, North Hamilton Crossing, and it's a sense of urgency that they're really. But again, it's a process. Unfortunately, it's always a process, you know. So it is. I'm trying to speak in the mic a little bit better for you tonight. Sorry, but it is a process. But I will be the first one to tell you that it is very urgent to the county also. Okay, as well as the city. So hang in there. We're working hard on that. It's a very important project. So
Well, I'm glad for your input and inform us what's going on in that. I mean, because not only there's a ton of people that want to know what's going on in that, and if you don't bring it up to find out the information in that, you know, it's just sitting there and nobody knows what's going on. So by coming forth in that and you feedback in that, it's very appreciative and you know, lets us know how things are progressing in that. And
Thank you, Dan. But you probably have all of our phone numbers. You can call us or text us, and we'll talk to you more at length than we can right now.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan.
and Alan Messer, am I correct on that location? Okay, I just want to make sure. All right, got it.
George Dunning.
How's it going? So
Good evening.
I'm George Dunning, the owner of SJB Home Decor, me and my wife. Don't do Toastmasters public speaking, so bear with me, right? We have a multi-seven-figure store, 42,000 square feet, 1740 South Erie Boulevard, Hamilton, Ohio. I'm gonna say this right now, in the last 4 years, I've seen that area regress so bad with the vagrants, the vandalism, the drug use, the patrolling. I don't even know where to turn. You know, I've kept my nose to the grindstone for the past 5 years. Turn this into I'm gonna say it again, a multi-seven-figure operation. I'm tired. Something has to happen over there with local law enforcement patrolling. I understand the gentrification going on downtown and all the attention being put towards Spooky Nook, but like, you know, in your local, regional, national chains coming in, developers coming in, you're changing the landscape of the neighborhood, and I get it. I understand what's going on. But small business, like I've built over there with my bare hands, needs to be appreciated in the city of Hamilton. I bring people in from the Carriage Hill area, Mason, Loveland, a totally different demographic. To be honest with you, as of right now, I'll say it frankly, and you guys may not like it, don't really have a reason to come to Hamilton other than my store, and I've been told to that on numerous occasions. Now, when Agavi and Rye opens up, and you get all your hipster pubs and bars, I call them bars. When those open up, I mean, just because you have exposed brick and flooring and stuff like that, you sell a $20 cheeseburger and French fries, doesn't make it and sell an ale on tap doesn't make it, something that it isn't, which is a bar. The DUIs are going to go up, car crashes are going to go up. We can't control what we got now. We can't get a grip on what we got now. I got to finally meet the fire chief of Hamilton on a surprise inspection for small violations a fire extinguisher not being noted. I walk in here, I don't see one fire extinguisher in this room. Again, I am totally displeased with Hamilton Crossing, the level of patrol over there. My tax dollars are valued. I work really hard to give those to the county and the city. The patrol you guys have to do something about that. I'm so irritated and frustrated, I can't even talk. And it's a complete joke. You know, the energy, what is small business? Small business in America, the SBA, small businesses up to 500 employees or less, or 25 million or less. No, small business in Hamilton in the United States, to me, is anybody willing to go out on a limb and put your money out there and make something happen. And that needs to be respected. It's not the regionals, it's not the nationals, it's not some big corporation, it's not somebody coming in, it's not some big builder building affordable houses, because gentrification turns into affordable living, then that turns into gentrification on commercial rents. And then we all know how it goes from there. And I'll tell you now, I got a good thing going over there. I love what I have going over there. Butler County has been great to me. I'm not gonna say the city of Hamilton so much, but if I have to go what I have to go through with the vagrants and cleaning that area of town up, I'm not gonna resign. And I'm certainly not gonna purchase that building like I'm looking at doing. It's not gonna happen.
Okay, I want to say a few words too. You want to
I just want to know the address
go
again.
right ahead?
What was it?
1740 South Erie Boulevard, Hamilton, Ohio.
1740? Okay. Oh, first off, thank you for your investment of your resources and your time. Apparently you built a very good business. Do you belong to the Chamber of Commerce?
I did.
Okay.
So we
That's an avenue to get some of your you're getting your voice heard. So if I continue to work with them, I'd like to see a Route 4 business group, an Erie Boulevard business group develop. There have been some in the past, but this doesn't seem to generate what you consider there a smooth transition from one group to another group of business leadership on Erie Boulevard, Route 4.
Well,
be honest with you, I'm
26
not done
seconds
yet,
left.
sir. I'm not
Go
done
ahead.
yet, okay? I lived here all my life, and I had never seen this city in better shape. You mentioned craft beer and all that kind of stuff. Here's what I see. I see 50 plus parks. I see families enjoying this city. I see families going downtown and on Main Street. I see our schools becoming, newer schools. Graduation rates go up. Young people getting careers and going to college. The fire department, that man's doing his job, and that's for safety. And there's codes that have to be followed, period. I mean, that's just one of those things.
I see not one fire extinguisher in this room right now, which would be a violation. So if I have a silk plant in front of a fire extinguisher that can be moved at any time in a split second, it's a clear violation. We don't know the distance on that obstruction, but I walk into a room that has about 65 people in it right now. I don't see one fire extinguisher.
All I know is I don't know the fire. I know I don't know the fire code. Okay.
And apparently we don't neither.
We've got professional firefighters. We've got people who follow the code. I like to sit down and talk with you about some of your concerns because I want to see you succeed, and you already have succeeded.
I will succeed without the city of Hamilton or with the city of Hamilton. I mean, I'm just at that point. You know what I mean? I will not be defined by a seal on a wall or the city. I just will not be.
I just think that we could be a resource of information to help you even become better.
Inclusion, right, is what I'm starting to see. The whole thing behind the craft beer and the $20 cheeseburger and fries and the exposed floor and the ceiling and the hipster vibe, let's not call it what it is. It's a bar. How many bars do you need? And then building those in this economy, we're in a recession.
Sir,
You
I'm
see-
going to
you
stop
see
right
all-
there.
look, can I
I'm gonna
finish? I
interrupt.
let it
No,
finish.
I'm not.
So you're not gonna
You are
let me finish.
disrespecting business owners. You're talking about small business. Those are the same people that
I'm talking
are
about
putting their
policing.
money-
So now if you cannot police what
My
you have
family
now,
was a small business
if you cannot
owner.
handle what you have
And there
now,
was a restaurant.
But let me say something. If you cannot, I'm talking about DUIs and real crimes that pull out of there, right? If you cannot police what you have over in Hamilton Crossing or anywhere around that, and those resources are stretched so thin, how do you think you're going to do it with all the DUIs?
Sir, let me ask you a question. Who have you talked with about the
The
policing?
police are going to take care of it, sir.
I'll invite you over there at any time or show you my cameras. They can't even take care of the
Yep.
vandalism on my trucks.
Okay, well, we got a police issue, so we will get that
We,
taken care of.
we
So
need to
let's
sit
create
down and
more.
talk. We need to sit down and talk.
Oh,
This might not be the best venue. We can't spend a half hour here talking
Sure.
about this, but we sure can spend a half hour to an hour or more sitting down and talk with you and getting some of your suggestions on how to make this
It's
a better
policing
business
issue.
neighborhood over there.
It's a policing issue. Or the lady that drives her $100,000 SUV down to the soccer game, gets her window broken out and her laptop stolen out of it. How's that going to look? I came to Hamilton from a kid's soccer game. They stole all my stuff out of my car. You don't think those are going to go up? It's the laws of attraction.
Let's
I'm
work
done.
together on something.
All right, see.
All right, Jim Loneman.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Jim Loneman at 135 Timber Hill Drive. Okay, a question for you. Okay, well, how come I go to Lindenwood all the time and you see these cars parked real close to the corner, you can't see around the corner for the parking area? That's bullcrap. They could ticket them. Why don't they ticket them?
Are you saying, I'm just going to stop you right here because I think I know what you're talking about. You're saying cars are parked too close to at the intersection and then it
Yes.
causes some kind of a blind spot? Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying? I do know our police department is working on that, causing there to be, as a result of their investigation, a less number of cars allowed to park in a particular block, okay?
Well, not so
And-
much
and-
that,
so there won't be, and it's Dayton Lane as well. There's other streets that have that issue where there's too many cars, bigger cars, and you get a blind spot when you turn. Is that the problem you're talking about
Not
right
the
now?
blind spot so much. I'm saying when you turn left and you can't see the cars coming from the left, you know, or from the right, you know, or
I know what you're talking about.
they're real close to the curb, you know. That's one thing, okay?
If you have a particular intersection that you know, based upon your experience is bad, why don't you get a list of those intersections
Well, it's
and
and
get them to
right
meet?
there, you were Barney's Bar is. We always park in front of the sign says no parking here in the corner every time. Every time we see them.
Maybe those signs need to be moved in towards the center of the block. You might lose a parking space or two, but it make people have safer vision.
But people would disband. People would keep disbanding because I know
Well,
they go to the bar and say they didn't park here.
Okay, why don't you get me a list? You know where my office is. You got my phone number. Get me a list of what to think the worst intersections are for having a blind view, line of sight.
Benninghofen and was that street where Barney's Bar is? Benninghofen, right there, right? Barney's Bar, right there.
Can you just jot them down or give me a call?
Okay.
Be more than happy to pass that along to people.
Okay. And also another thing about let's see, over on East Street, them fixing them. They trying to fix them two railroad track things, but they're coming apart again. Them things over railroad track. You ever seen that? The old railroad track, not new one, not new one.
I know CSX is trying to repair tracks, make them smoother, that type of thing.
Why they removed them? I mean, because they're not even using it anymore.
Well, I know the ones that they are, yeah, that's a good point. A lot of times they just asphalt over them to a degree, but Jim, you raised some very good comments. I know I take notes. I know all of us on council take notes. I know Rich Engel takes notes. So things that you have brought up, we have worked on as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing about a lot of things many times, and
Yeah,
it's fun to fix,
Well, no, but thank you. But those intersections that you have you see as a problem, get that to me as quick as you can, if you would. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Okay, we now go to the consent agenda. That takes care of all the folks who have signed the public speaking book. The consent agenda includes all matters such as staff reports, caucus reports, meeting minutes, informational reports, including the August financial report and the August investment report. We're going to go to the committee of the whole, which allows us to consider the reports that are on the caucus agenda, to ask questions to our directors and our professional staff. Allows us to ask questions to them back and forth. So, is there a motion the regular meeting be recessed and the committee of the whole take place?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Pullman, second by Vice Mayor Ryan. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried. We now go to the caucus agenda for September 28th, 2022. 11 items. You want to lead us through that, Mr. City Clerk?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So for our first item is related to accepting funds for the Community Development Block Grant Funds and the Home Investment Partnership Funds. Our presenter will be Ms. Tamika Hedrington.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So the city recently received notification that the city received approval for the fiscal year 22 through 2026 consolidated plan and the 2022 through 2023 annual action plan from HUD. And with that, the city has been allotted approximately $1,350,621 in CDBG funds and $399,573 in home funds. And those funds are to be used for fiscal year 2022 through 2023 for public services, economic development projects, public facilities, new construction, total operating, home match, clearance and demolition, and other projects. You will see that the CDBG projects are highlighted here, with a number of the public services being those like Parachute, the Child Advocate Training Program, Serve City for supportive services, and another example is Living Waters, their Family Outreach Center. Here are a number of the home-funded projects to include, for example, the Down Payment Assistance Program, as well as new construction, both operated under Neighborhood Housing Services. The city's finance department asks that City Council approve and appropriate HUD's approved fiscal year 2022 through 2023 annual action plan utilizing CDBG and home funds. Any questions?
No, but thank you for the very thorough attachments to what we have, what we get every meeting, and I know you work hard on this all year long with public meetings and all that, so thank you very much. Any questions council has? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next up for items 2 and 4, we'll have our Health Commissioner, Kay Farrar.
Good evening again. So the first thing I'll talk about is on your caucus agenda, there's a reclassification just for title change only. So previously, the environmental division under health were called public health sanitarians, which is now, hit an unfavorable denotation. That name is kind of nonsense. And we're moving to, and the state approved as well in their ordinances, to call them registered environmental health specialists. That happened in April of 2021. I think it's a better fit and it says more about what they do. In addition, it aligns with the national examination that they take for credentialing, which they refer to them as environmental health specialists. So that will come up for vote. And then you're going to jump to number 4, is that right? Okay. This is number 4 on your caucus reports. So the cost methodology is required under Ohio Administrative Code 3701-36-14 for health departments to calculate their fees to license and inspect various food programs. We have to do that annually. It is considered to reflect the actual cost to run those programs. It must be fee neutral, so we're not allowed to make money off of this program. It really just is something that helps us get our costs back. That being said, it's always a year behind, so we have to figure out the cost from the year prior to running that program, and then there is a formulation that we insert the numbers into. There'll be a bigger presentation when it's up for public review, which will be in 2 weeks, or 2 more agendas. So I will do a bigger presentation at that time, which will say the fees, but this just allows you to know that it's upcoming and basically what the setting of fees is. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you, Kay.
Okay, thanks.
So next up, I will cover items 3, 5, and 6. These are related to a liquor permit and 2 alley vacation petitions. So for item number 3, this is a new liquor permit application for a D5J liquor permit for Immortal Vibes located at 230 Main Street. A D5J liquor permit is a full-service liquor permit, so it deals with serving beer, wine, and liquor. The difference is the J, which is a license that's specific to the area that is the community entertainment district that this property is located within. So that is the big difference with that. Do we have any questions on this item?
Mr. Mayor.
Please.
So does this mean, is this like a place where you go in and sit down at the table and there is a bar, or is it only just get it and walk?
I think it's more so like either Pinball Garage or Basil, where it's more like a restaurant. But then we also do have the Dora, which is completely separate from this, where you can get that to-go container as well.
And they do not serve food, is that correct? I'm not familiar with it, but I didn't know.
I couldn't tell you.
I don't know what.
I just based off of the liquor permit application
Okay.
that I received.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay. Anything else on this item?
Nope.
Okay. Let's see. Next up is item number 5, which is an alley vacation request for Imlay Avenue, or a portion of it, over on South Erie. This is related to the potential development for a new fire station. So with the city of Hamilton being the applicant, this helps us bypass a couple processes with appraisers. So this is only a petition, which means that the recommendation will go to Planning Commission for them to review it, have a public hearing, and then make a recommendation to council as well. So you will see this again in the near future. Any questions about this application?
We're in good shape on that one. Thank you.
Okay. The number 6, this is also a alley vacation request for a portion of Elvin Avenue Alley. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's a little portion of red right there. And the city is also the applicant on this petition. That is because the adjacent property owner, he already has concerns of trespass, and he's tried to kind of go through this process already as a property owner, but there's been a lack of response from appraisers, which makes it kind of difficult for him to proceed. So with this petition, the recommendation is also to go to the Planning Commission for review and a public hearing and a recommendation. So you will also see this application again in the near future. Do we have any questions on this item?
I'm thinking this is like an unimproved piece of property. It's an alley, but I think it may not even be looking like an alley.
That would be true as well.
Okay. Any questions on number 6? Okay. Thank you.
For number 7, we have Liz Hayden, who will be here to discuss a conditional use application.
Good evening, City Council and residents of Hamilton. This is a proposed conditional use application for a small supportive housing use at 119 Wilson Street. The applicant is the Christy Love Foundation, Angela Renfro, who is from Hamilton but not currently living in our community, and she is operating a business and nonprofit in Kentucky, and she wanted to wants to open another location here in Hamilton, and was proposing this location for a supportive housing for women who are experiencing human trafficking. And this came to Planning Commission, and Planning Commission recommended denial of this for a variety of reasons, but the 2 primary ones were that there was a variance request for the 500-foot requirement between supportive housing facilities. The regulations say that to avoid overcrowding of services, that they need to be 500 feet away from each other, and this is actually quite close to another existing supportive housing property on Front Street. But also Planning Commission asked the applicant for more information on her business and nonprofit. There were 5 different things that they had asked her to do at the first hearing, and they tabled it for, I believe, it was either 6 or 8 weeks, and they asked her to provide documentation on 5 different fronts, and not all of that information was provided by the time the meeting. They just wanted to understand that she was working with local partners, other nonprofits in the Hamilton community, since she's new to the operating in Ohio, and they asked for some other documentation on her business operation in Kentucky, and not all of that was provided. And so those were the 2 primary reasons that Planning Commission recommended denial of this application. Do you have any questions about this?
Any questions? I'll say real quick that I think Planning Commission believed in this young lady's mission all the way. It was considered by Planning Commission. We had multiple type of set dates to talk about it and to get more information and to vet that information. I'm on Planning Commission. We just thought it was too close to the other one, and we basically asked her to find a different location somewhere that's beyond the 500 requirement. So if we go ahead and concur with the recommendations of this Cox agenda, including item number 7, then that will pretty much stop that particular process that she had filed for.
Correct. That would be the final action, and that would be concurring with the denial that Planning Commission recommended.
Okay. Any questions, council, on this one?
Mr. Mayor, I'm
Please.
not sure if this is relevant, but does someone live in that house now? Is it a residence or?
It was a resident, or it's a house.
Okay.
And my understanding is that the tenant that was in there had left or is leaving, and it was open to rent again. And she connected with Bob Harris, actually is the property owner, and wanted to rent it from him for this use.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Do you want me to do the other one? Yeah, 11 would be great. Okay. Also, I am discussing number 11 tonight, which I do not have a slide for. I'm sorry, Mr. Tidyman, but I will be brief.
I'll hold it against you.
Nuisance Appeal Board would like to add alternates to the board. We have had issues with quorum, but also I can speak to the benefits of having alternates, because planning boards have alternates, and it is a great way to help always make sure we have quorum without putting too much stress on the board members, but also kind of helps create a pipeline for new board members. So we're proposing to allow the city staff members that are on the board designate an alternate from our departments, but then also establish one citizen alternate that would be able to fill in for any one of the 3 citizens that are on the board. And that way the alternates coming enough to the meetings that they'd be just as knowledgeable as the other citizens. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
Next up, for item number 8, which is related to the Butler County Regional Highway, and in the Butler County TID, I'll have Alan Messer of Engineering Department.
Good evening. This one is labeled a property purchase, but it would actually be you able to bring it up there, Daniel?
Oh, it's not
Okay. This one's labeled a property purchase, but what it is a transfer of property. The properties that the Butler County TID bought back when the Butler County Regional Highway was constructed. So those properties that are within the city of Hamilton, from Route 4 to the East Corporation limits, the TID is looking to just change ownership from the TID over to the city of Hamilton. So essentially a cleanup of sorts. Are there any questions that council
Any
has.
questions at all? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And lastly, for items 9 and 10, we'll have Dave Jones, our finance director.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council, citizens of Hamilton. So first off, we've got the 5th supplemental appropriation for 2022. And on the screen, we can see the significant items that we're proposing. So first off, we've got $451,000 for additional income tax collection costs. Had a very good year with income tax collections. Through August, we're up about $3.2 million or 15%. That's compared to 2021. Along with that goes with the increased collection costs. We're proposing $950,000 is to pay off a private placement of a 2017 street improvement bond. Hopefully that'll ease up some funding in Fund 311, which does the street repaving outside of street levy proceeds. It's the annual street repaving program, so that'll help alleviate some of that. The $1,264,000, we talked about that last week. That's the reallocation of the Champion Mill proceeds from Mill 1 to Mill 2. That's also on your agenda tonight to approve amending the loan agreement and all that. But again, this is just a reallocation from Mill 1 to Mill 2. Daniel, I don't have the clicker on. If you can slide.
Dave, just to say that differently, that's money that's exists already. You're just sitting in an account. You're just moving it to a different account.
Been in our bank account since 2020.
Thank you.
We're just, exactly. Utility funds, we got $900,000. That's basically just a pass-through. It's increased natural gas purchases due to AFEX sales. $350,000 electric distribution. It's regulatory requirements with grid force. And then we're going to issue an internal note, $1,395,000. We'll do internal notes. It's one fund lending to another fund. This is for the annual concrete repair and resurfacing program. This is how we fund the special assessments when residents have the driveway aprons, the sidewalks repaired. When those assessments come in, we pay off the internal notes. This is several prior years worth of programs that we're doing on this one, and we've been doing this type of note for many years. Any question on the supplemental appropriation?
Nope. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
The next one is basically just a housekeeping item. So if you guys remember back to July, we've got the annual tax budget. It happens every year, July 13th. You guys approved the 2023 tax budget. After that, the County Budget Commission, which is the treasurer, the auditor, and the prosecutor, they come back with estimates of levies that you guys have to certify back to the county. So you'll see a resolution next week or next council meeting where you guys are certifying the millage back to the county auditor from the tax budget. And if you want to flip over to the next slide, Daniel.
Gotcha.
Here are the estimates. The print's a little small. The top one is the inside mills. That's been in existence forever. The amounts do include the homestead and rollback. Homestead and rollback, those are exemptions to property owners. However, the state gives us the money for it, so we're not out anything. Actual collections, so like the general fund's probably about 2.6, 2.7. So those numbers do include that. The only new one is the street levy that was approved in March 2020. And I can't see 3.2 million. It's coming in at probably about 3.1, maybe a little lower. I know there was a reassessment this year, so, we're budgeting 3.1, but they're very close. Those are the auditor's estimates. We're very close to that. Do you guys got any questions on that?
Any questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'll accept the motion that the committee of the whole be closed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Nab, seconded by Councilmember Vaughn. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried. Now we come out at 6:56 from the committee of the whole. I'll accept the motion that the regular meeting be reconvened.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Ryan, second by Councilmember Vaughn. Roll call vote to reconvene the regular meeting.
Moeller.
Yes.
Pullman.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer. Yes. Motion adopted, 7-0.
We reconvene regular meeting at 6:57, and I'll accept the motion regarding the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Pullman,
make a motion that with the exception of the items so noted, council receive the report to the consent agenda and concur with their recommendations.
second. Motion by Councilmember Pullman, seconded by Vice Mayor Ryan. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried. We now go into the public hearing section of the agenda, and I'll accept the motion that the regular meeting be recessed and the public hearings take place.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Nab, second by Councilmember Pullman. We go into the public hearing at 6:58.
Mayor, can we get a voice vote for that, please?
I'm sorry. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried. I apologize for not getting the voice vote on that. So it is 6:58. When we go into the first of three public hearings, you want to read the first one to the record?
A public hearing regarding a substantial amendment to the fiscal year 2019-2020 annual action plan.
Okay. Anyone in the audience wish to be heard at this public hearing involving the annual action plan? Anyone in the audience wish to be heard at this public hearing involving the 2019-2020 annual action plan? And beyond council wish to be heard?
Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
Oh, go ahead.
Your motion is what?
I move that the public hearing be closed.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Nab, public hearing be closed. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Ryan. All in favor to close the public hearing, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried and that public hearing is over with at 6:59. You want to read into the record the next public hearing, please?
A public hearing regarding amending the City of Hamilton zoning ordinance number 7503 by changing the zoning of specific properties in the Dayton Lane and North End neighborhoods.
Anyone in the audience wish to be heard at this public hearing involving amending the zoning, Dayton Lane and North End neighborhoods? Anyone in the audience wish to be heard? Okay, and I believe you did actually sign the book, so come on up. When you get up there, please state your name and your address. And I'm not quite sure what you have there.
It's part of my presentation to request to stay on my zoning.
Okay.
My name is Morton Combs Jr., 812 Heaton Street, and it's regard to also 822, a property I own right next door. I've got some paperwork I would like to give everybody, please.
Well, hold on a second. We have that go through our city clerk first. And just on the record for public hearings and audience and council, I think it might be helpful. Well, actually, we're requiring the paper documents to be given to the city clerk beforehand.
Oh, thank you, sir.
But we're gonna get to
What it is it's basically just a map of what I already have, what I have proposed for the future. If I should ever outgrow the facility, I don't want to be stuck back to a rental property. I'd like to put a music store there or a laundromat or anything that would benefit my neighborhood.
Did you speak at planning commission as well?
Pardon?
Did you speak at the planning commission?
Yes, I did.
I thought you did, okay, all right.
Now, one of the things that I'm doing is urban agriculture up there. This is the typical size of a Polish linguice tomato. Through all my years of work, this would be considered a decent sized one. This here would be very, very big, considering the breed. What I've been able to do, and this is all formulated to grow in an urban environment. And then right here is probably the biggest one today that I have yet grown. I'm real well known for tattooing. I've tattooed in 5 different countries in 18 of the 50 states, toured with rock bands, and brought a lot of big names to our community. such as Austin Arvin. He charted in the 1970s with a hit song. Mike Estes, member of Leonard Skinner, now has a band called Skinny Molly. Another one is Dale Crow, IBA, IBF, IBO ranked heavyweight boxer. Vernon McIntyre, bluegrass legend. I've also had Aaron Pryor, Cincinnati Kid, come here and do food drives and autograph sessions. Another thing that I do is I got a passion for painting as well as the tattooing. This was my 10th oil painting. This was my 30th. And this was number 34. I don't do a whole lot of oil paintings to try to keep the value of my paintings up. These particular paintings sold together in a set for a little over $7,000. Furthermore, I have a petition from people, my neighbors, and people around the neighborhood. When we finally get the facility completed, because I would like to bring food to the north end where I'm growing food, it'd be like a gastro type pub, so the kids around there can eat healthy, as well as the people who visit. I have Tim Blankenship on board, who worked for Gideon Bibles, collected about $7 million a year for their nonprofit, and we plan on going nonprofit in the next couple of years. I have Sonny Moore on board, director of music. I'm in charge of fine arts and alternative arts. I also have Steve Cups coming in for performing arts because he's helping me do a documentary on busking down in Cincinnati. Furthermore, I'm an Eagle Scout. Went to college for robotics and automated machining. I feel like I have a lot to offer my community. If you change my zoning, it will handicap me and keep me from progressing. So please let me keep it. Do not change it. Thank you.
Okay.
If you'd like to me go over my charts, I'd really like to.
What documentation did he give you, Mr. City Clerk?
First was a petition from
People in the neighborhood.
People in the neighborhood. Second is what appears to be a drawn site plan of his property, as I think it's as of right now, or his plans for the property.
There's a legend at the bottom. It shows what's already in existence and what's projected. One of the things I want to project is, like I said, putting in a little gastropub where we grow our own food. I'm already doing free concerts for the community, and I'm in the process of putting in a second stage for smaller entertainments. I also want to get inner city kids in there to learn how to farm and grow. Last but not least, I would like to put a 9-hole chip golf course in there because I own one of the biggest properties, if not the biggest property in that area. And it'd be really neat to be able to golf through my garden. And I'm not talking about for a place for kids to come and play. I'm talking about for real golfers to come in and get 9 holes and practice their chip on their lunch break here during the city time while they're working.
Okay. Is there any motion regarding the documentation that he brought with him?
Mayor, I move to accept the documentation through our city clerk.
Second. Motion made by Councilmember Knapp, second by Councilmember Pullman. Any discussion on that motion prior to a voice vote? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, we'll accept that, but this is kind of a unique situation, and I know for audience of citizens, we are having all of the documents go to the city clerk beforehand.
I didn't realize that,
Okay,
sir.
that's we just have a first reading on this tonight. We're not voting on this tonight. Is that correct, Mr. City Clerk? Is it just the first reading?
I believe so.
Okay. All right. I believe at the Planning Commission, you were told you can continue to do what you're doing.
Right.
Is that right, Ms. Hayden? Yeah. Okay.
But under grandfathering it is, if we outgrow the facility, my child and my grandchildren will never be able to use it. It'll be a residential then. And I want them to have the same rights. And if we outgrow it, I would like to be able to put another business there. Would it be a laundromat or, a music store or whatever?
Well, we're not voting on it tonight.
Okay.
We have heard You at a public.
Can I invite you guys down to come take a look at my place?
I will, I think we'll all consider further investigating this. Okay?
Okay.
Now, so, we've already accepted the paper that you brought. We're not gonna accept what you grew, but
Right.
that's your demonstrative evidence, I guess, at this point in time, for lack of a better expression. But thank you for, I mean, you're doing some unique things. There's reasons why we change zoning in certain areas. I'd like to have you partner with us and kind of talk, and use the planning department as a resource if you would, please, as well. But okay, if this is just a first reading tonight, is there any questions that anybody on council has for Mr. Combs at this time?
Mr. Mayor, I'll just make a comment.
Sure.
Thank you for your emotional testimony as to what you'd like to present to us, what you're doing on Eaton Street.
It means a lot to me.
Please know I will stop by to take a look. I'm unfamiliar with your property, and I think many of us on council will be interested over this next week or so prior to our next meeting to understand a little bit more.
When the news filmed the mural a couple doors over, they put my place on the news as well. They liked it.
Okay. Thanks again for your presentation.
Thank you.
Mr. Combs, I got a question for you. I mean,
Sure.
do you totally understand the effect of the grandfather?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you've asked all the right questions, and if you have any other further questions, I believe our city professionals will still answer those questions, and they will answer your questions. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Let's all learn more, okay?
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Anyone else in the audience which is to be heard at this public hearing involving changing the zoning of Dayton Lane North End area? Anyone else? Okay. Anyone on council wish to be heard or to make a motion at this time?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Pullman?
I'll make a motion that the public hearing be closed.
Second. Motion by Councilmember Pullman, seconded by Vice Mayor Ryan. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing me none, that motion is carried. And it's 7:09 for the timing of the closing of that particular public hearing. Would you number 14 to the record, please, at this time, if you're ready, Mr. City Clerk?
A public hearing regarding amending the City of Hamilton zoning ordinance number 7503 by changing the zoning of properties located at the 800 to 900 block of North 2nd Street and North 3rd Street.
Anyone in the audience wish to be heard at this public hearing involving amending the zoning regarding North 2nd Street and North 3rd Street? Anyone in the audience wish to be heard at this public hearing involving changing of zoning, amending the zoning, North 2nd Street and North 3rd Street? Anyone on council wish to be heard or make a motion at this time?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Vaughn?
I move the public hearing be closed.
Second. Motion by Councilmember Vaughn, second by Vice Mayor Ryan. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is, hearing that vote, motion is carried. To close the public hearing at 7:10. So the motion to regular meeting be reconvened.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Ryan, second by Councilmember Vaughn. Roll call vote on that motion, please.
Moeller,
Yes.
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Motion adopted, 7-0.
Okay, the regular meeting is reconvened at 7:11. We now go to council actions pertaining to legislative items. Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Vaughn.
I move that a note be made upon the minutes that each member of council was furnished a printed copy of each item of legislation prior to it being considered at this meeting.
Second.
By Councilmember Vaughn, seconded by Councilmember Lauer. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried. We now go into pending legislation. Second reading of an ordinance involving the improvement of real property.
An ordinance declaring the improvement to certain parcel of real property within the city to be a public purpose and exempt from taxation pursuant to ORC section 5709.41, providing for the collection and deposit of service payments, specifying the purposes for which those service payments may be expanded, and authorizing school compensation payments. Second reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Vaughn.
I move the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Vaughn, second by Vice Mayor Ryan. Any discussion or comments on this one? Okay, hearing none, roll call vote.
Moeller.
Yes?
Pullman.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted, 7-0.
Thank you. I want to state for the record that the public speaking books, public hearing books, they were all empty. Nobody signed any of them except for Morton Combs, and he did get a chance to speak. We go to agenda item number 16, second reading of an ordinance involving our codified ordinances.
An ordinance approving, adopting, and enacting the 2022 replacement pages to the codified ordinances of Hamilton, Ohio, 1998, and repealing matters in conflict therewith, second reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Nab.
I move the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Nab, seconded by Councilmember Pullman. Any comments or discussion on this one? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Moeller.
Yes?
Pullman.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted, 7-0.
Thank you. We go to agenda item number 17, second reading of ordinance vacating a portion of Safe Avenue.
An ordinance vacating a portion of right-of-way, Safe Avenue, located between Edison Avenue and Crawford Avenue, situated in the 5th Ward, South Side, City of Hamilton, Ohio. City of Hamilton applicant, second reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Vaughn.
I move the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Vaughn, second by Vice Mayor Ryan. Any discussion on this one? Okay, none. Roll call vote.
Moeller.
Yes?
Pullman.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted, 7-0.
We now go to new legislation, agenda item number 18, first reading of an ordinance involving our annual action plan update.
An ordinance approving the City of Hamilton's substantial amendment annual action plan update for fiscal years 2019 through 2022, delineating the statement of objectives and the proposed use of Community Development Block Grant Program CV funds, and authorizing the submittal of said plan to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, City of Hamilton applicant, to amend, transfer, and appropriate up to fiscal year 2019 through 2020 CDBG CV budgets up to $320,316. Fiscal year 2019 CDBG CV budget up to $238,800 for public facilities and improvements, and up to $81,516 for activity delivery costs. First reading.
Thank you. We go to agenda item number 19, first reading of an ordinance vacating a portion of the right-of-way along South Monument.
An ordinance vacating a portion of right-of-way on on-street parking along South Monument Avenue, located between High Street and Court Street, situated in the Second Ward, City of Hamilton, Ohio. City of Hamilton applicant. First reading.
Thank you. Agenda item number 20, first reading of an ordinance involving changing the zoning North 2nd Street, North 3rd Street.
An ordinance amending the City of Hamilton zoning ordinance number 7503 by changing the zoning on properties located at the 800 through 900 block of North 2nd Street and North 3rd Street to EM UPD Entertainment Mixed Use Plan Development, and a preliminary plan for a potential parking lot associated with the upcoming Spooky Nook Sports Complex, and approved EM UPD development. City of Hamilton applicant. First reading.
Thank you. Go to agenda item number 21, first reading of an ordinance changing zoning, Dayton Lane, North End neighborhoods.
An ordinance amending the City of Hamilton zoning ordinance number 7503 by changing the zoning of specific properties in the Dayton Lane and North End neighborhoods to TN1 Traditional Neighborhood 1 District, TN2 Traditional Neighborhood 2 District, TN3 Traditional Neighborhood 3 District, TN4 Traditional Neighborhood 4 District, and specific properties to B2 Community Business and DT3 East High Street Zoning District, properties situated in the 3rd Ward, City of Hamilton applicant.
Okay. Thank you. Question, does anybody know when a second hearing is going to be on that? Or the second reading is going to be on that? I'd like to make sure that Mr. Combs knows when that second hearing is going to be. Great. Thank you very much. And for the record, that's the public hearing that Mr. Combs spoke of. Okay. We go to agenda item number 22, first reading of an ordinance involving amending a position classification.
An ordinance amending Schedule A of the city's classification and compensation plan as set forth in emergency ordinance number EOR 2021-12-121, adopted December 8th, 2021, to amend the position classification of customer service supervisor and add the position of assistant director of business services within the Department of Infrastructure. First reading.
Thank you. Go to agenda item number 23, two readings of an emergency ordinance involving the historic Schuler and Benninghoffen Mill project.
An emergency ordinance authorizing and ratifying a second amendment to a sale and development agreement, property conveyances, and related actions within the Bloomfield Shun Investments, LLC regarding the historic Schuler and Benninghoffen Mill project. First reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Pullman.
make a motion that the rules be suspended and the said ordinance be read a second time by its title.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Pullman, second by Councilmember Vaughn. Roll call vote on that motion, please.
Moeller.
Yes?
Pullman.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Motion adopted, 7-0.
Okay, the second reading of that emergency ordinance, please.
An emergency ordinance authorizing and ratifying a second amendment to a sale and development agreement, property conveyances, and related actions with Bloomfield Shun Investments, LLC regarding the historic Schuler and Benninghoffen Mill project. Second reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Pullman.
make a motion that the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Pullman, second by Councilmember Vaughn. Mr. City Manager, do you want to say anything about this?
Yes, all that's that you're approving tonight is, since it took us about a year to get through the bankruptcy process, is it just took the existing dates in the agreement and it extended an additional 12 months, which was essentially the time they lost during the bankruptcy process.
Any discussion or questions about this one as a result of the statements made by the city manager? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Moeller.
Yes?
Pullman.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted, 7-0.
Go to agenda item number 24, which is a first reading of an emergency ordinance involving our interest in Fremont Power Sales.
An emergency ordinance approving the assignment of portions of the City of Hamilton's interest in the Fremont Power Sales contract with American Municipal Power Incorporated to the Village of Holiday City, City of Huron, and the Village of Jackson Center, and taking other actions in connection therewith. First reading.
Thank you. We go to agenda item number 25. First reading of an ordinance involving the pay range for the classification of corrections officer manager.
An ordinance amending and supplementing Schedule A of the city's classification and compensation plan as set forth in emergency ordinance number EOR 2021-12-121, adopted December 8th, 2021, to reassign the pay range for the corrections officer manager.
Thank you. We go to agenda item number 26. Two readings of emergency ordinance on the reallocation of some loan amounts.
An emergency ordinance authorizing amendments to the Champion Mill development agreements, loan agreements, and economic development and disbursement agreements, all in order to provide for reallocation of loan amounts from the sports complex to the hotel project and declaring an emergency. First of two readings.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Vaughn.
I move the rules be suspended and said ordinance be read a second time by its title.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Vaughn, second by Councilmember Pullman. Roll call vote on that motion, please.
Moeller.
Yes?
Pullman.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Motion adopted, 7-0.
Second reading of that emergency ordinance, please.
An emergency ordinance authorizing amendments to the Champion Mill development agreements, loan agreements, and economic development and disbursement agreements, all in order to provide for a reallocation of loan amounts from the sports complex to the hotel project and declaring an emergency. Second reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Vaughn.
I move the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Vaughn, seconded by Councilmember Pullman. And I think we've already had some explanation about this one from Mr. Jones and our city manager both earlier this evening. Any other questions or comments before we vote on this ordinance? Okay. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Moeller.
Yes?
Pullman.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted, 7-0.
We go to agenda item number 27, which is two readings of emergency ordinance involving some ordinances involving annoying noises and limitation on amplified sounds at special events.
An emergency ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 509, Disorderly Conduct and Peace Disturbance of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Hamilton, Ohio, by amending Sections 509.11, Annoying Noises, and adding Section 509.16, Limitations on Amplified Sounds at Special Events, to address the use of sound amplification devices within the City of Hamilton. First reading.
Mayor,
Councilmember Nab.
I move the rules be suspended and said ordinance be read a second time by its title.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Nab, second by Vice Mayor Ryan. Roll call vote on that motion, please.
Moeller.
Yes.
Pullman.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Motion adopted, 7-0.
Great, thank you. Second reading of that emergency ordinance.
An emergency ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 509, Disorderly Conduct and Peace Disturbance of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Hamilton, Ohio, by amending Section 509.11, Annoying Noises, and adding Section 509.16, Limitations on Amplified Sounds at Special Events, to address the use of sound amplification devices within the City of Hamilton. Second reading.
Mayor,
Councilmember Nab.
I move that the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Nab, second by Vice Mayor Ryan. Any discussion, comments, questions on this one? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Moeller.
Yes.
Pullman.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted, 7-0.
Thank you. We go to agenda item number 28. Two readings of emergency ordinance involving the classification of senior registered environmental health specialists.
An emergency ordinance amending ordinance number EOR 2022-7-65 by amending and correcting the classification code established within Section 1 of said ordinance for the newly established classification of senior registered environmental health specialist. First reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Pullman.
make a motion that the rules be suspended and said ordinance be read a second time by its title.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Pullman, second by Councilmember Vaughn. Roll call vote on that motion, please.
Moeller.
Yes.
Pullman.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Motion adopted, 7-0.
Second reading of that emergency ordinance.
An emergency ordinance amending ordinance number OR 2022-7-65 by amending and correcting the classification code established in Section 1 of said ordinance for the newly established classification of senior registered environmental health specialist. Second reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Pullman.
make a motion that the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Pullman, second by Councilmember Lauer. Any discussion on this particular ordinance, emergency ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Moeller.
Yes.
Pullman.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted, 7-0.
We go to agenda item number 29, which is a resolution.
A resolution declaring certain city property no longer needed for municipal purposes as surplus and obsolete, and authorizing the city manager to enter into a tuition agreement with Butler Tech and Career Development Schools to effect disposal of said surplus and obsolete property by means of an exchange for tuition credit.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Vaughn.
I move the resolution be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Vaughn, second by Councilmember Lauer. Any discussion on this? It's an example of our city working with Butler Tech and doing something kind of unique where both sides benefit. Is that correct, Chief? Yes, sir. Okay. Any other questions or comments prior to the vote? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Moeller.
Yes.
Pullman.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Resolution adopted, 7-0.
Go to agenda item number 30, resolution involving a side lot, 1102 Sipple Avenue.
A resolution approving the lease of certain real property located within the city of Hamilton, Ohio's urban renewal area to an adjoining property owner as a side lot, 1102 Sipple Avenue.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Nab.
I move the resolution be adopted.
Second.
Councilmember Nab, second by Vice Mayor Ryan. Any discussion on this one? Roll call vote.
Moeller.
Yes.
Pullman.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Resolution adopted, 7-0.
We go to agenda item number 31, which is a resolution, side lot involving Lane Street, Parkamo, and C Avenue.
A resolution approving the conveyance of certain real property acquired through the land bank to adjoining property owners as side lots. 1263 Lane Street, 1763 Parkamo Avenue, and 1847 C Avenue.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Vaughn.
I move the resolution be adopted.
Second.
From Councilmember Vaughn, second by Councilmember Nab. Any discussion on this one? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Moeller,
Yes?
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Resolution adopted, 7-0.
Go to agenda item number 32, which is a resolution involving the side lot, 131 Houston Street.
A resolution approving the conveyance of certain real property acquired through the land bank to an adjoining property owner as a side lot, 131 Houston Street.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Pullman,
make a motion that the resolution be adopted.
second. Motion by Councilmember Pullman, second by Vice Mayor Ryan. Comments, questions on this one?
Mr. Mayor.
Please.
And again, with my role in the land bank and what we're doing, what we're accomplishing in the city, the city team and the city administration should continue to know how pleased the citizens are to be able to take advantage of this opportunity. Also, how much we appreciate the conveyance of these properties to homeowners, that they take care of them, take pride in them, and add value to their property. It's really, really a great program. Thank you.
Great. Any other comments? All right. Roll call vote.
Moeller,
Yes?
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Resolution adopted, 7-0.
We now go to agenda item number 33, which is a resolution involving federal rail crossing elimination grant program and grant funds.
A resolution authorizing, directing, and supporting the filing of a grant application for the Federal Rail Administration, FRA, Rail Crossing Elimination Grant Program for the North Hamilton Crossing Project, and authorizing the city manager to execute any and all documents necessary to accept and receive said grant funds.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Pullman.
make a motion that the resolution be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Pullman, second by Councilmember Vaughn. Any discussion or comments from staff or anyone on council at this time? Okay. Roll call vote.
Moeller,
Yes?
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Resolution adopted, 7-0.
We go to agenda item number 34, a resolution involving a grant loan application for wastewater infrastructure capital improvements.
A resolution authorizing and directing the filing of a grant loan application with the Ohio EPA for wastewater infrastructure capital improvements and directing the city manager to execute any and all documents necessary to accept and receive said grant or loan funds.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Vaughn.
I move the resolution be adopted.
Second. Motion by Councilmember Vaughn, second by Vice Mayor Ryan. Discussion on this one. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Moeller,
Yes?
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Resolution adopted, 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Audience and City Manager.
I have a few items, Mayor. First, just want to recognize Frank Downey again. He was formally recognized at the Baden Hall of Honor dinner last week for his efforts in the neighborhoods, particularly his assistance with protocol and 17 Strong. But I was thinking about Frank a little bit when Mr. Dunning was talking to us during the audience of council earlier this evening, and how it takes someone, I'm sure the frustration that Frank has felt at times in Lindenwold and not seeing progress fast enough and things of that nature, but we need that type of commitment to improve all the areas of Hamilton. And I had a very pleasant conversation with Mr. Dunning out in the hallway about that, and I'm going to meet with him next week. Also, just a reminder that Kettering Hospital Foundation has their Ticket to Hollywood event this Saturday. It's their biggest annual fundraiser that they do. I know the city of Hamilton has a couple tables that will be there Saturday night, so look forward to that. It's always a good event. Heritage Ohio was in town this morning, did a small video for them, but they use Hamilton as one of their poster children across the state of Ohio in terms of historic preservation. And I know Mr. Hancock brought up a couple of those buildings today, but it takes many, many years to get buildings to get in that bad of condition, and unfortunately, it takes almost an equal amount of time to turn around and get them in a better condition. But I can promise you that the Schuler-Binninghofen and the Beckett paper, now that Champion Mill at Spooky Nook is turning the corner and almost complete, that you'll see a lot of attention on those buildings in the coming years. Also, the State of the City address will be a week from tomorrow. It's going to be held at the, was it called the Danbury Theater?
Yes. The old Danbury.
So I've only been inside that theater one time. When I first came here, I saw Wall Street 2. I think the very first month I moved here, and I think they closed the theater the next month. But so it'll be interesting to see what it looks like 12 years later. Finally, Frost Brown Todd is holding a zoning seminar next week. Both Liz and I have been invited to speak at that seminar. It's going to be held at Spooky Nook. Liz, is it for continuing education credits?
Yes.
I'm not sure if I'm qualified for anyone for continuing education in the matter of zoning or not, but I will be speaking, as will be Liz. But we're very happy that Frost Brown Todd has chosen Hamilton to bring people into the community for a 4-hour seminar. That's all I have. Thank you.
Great. Audience of City Council. Anybody have anything? Operation Pumpkin is next weekend. Sculpture Week is this week. Those are just two examples of some of the good things that we have going on in the city of Hamilton.
Mayor, if I'm correct, you also are getting some pies in your face a week from Friday?
And I'm thinking you're getting pies in your face during the same time.
Actually, I think I'm going to be sick that day, but I might show up to buy some pies for your face. But
Thank you.
That is...
It can only improve my face.
That is Friday. It's 1 week from this Friday at 6 p.m. on Main Street in the 300 block or 400 block of Main Street. So if anyone would like to throw a pie in the mayor's face, that is the time. Dan?
$5, that's all, $5. Thank you for bringing that up, Mr. City Manager. I appreciate you mentioning the fact that you're going to be standing there as well.
How long ago did we do his review? I forgot. But Pat, thanks for the notoriety that you'll bring in standing in next Friday. I'm sorry I'll be away to not enjoy the State of the City and the Pie in the Face event on Friday, but gentlemen, good luck next week.
You could drop a 5 to somebody else who will carry out the duty that you would like to do, I feel sure.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Pullman.
It'd be a good time to just play sick, and the vice mayor would have to take over in your spot. So I think that's a good time to pull rank on him.
I will not do that.
Okay.
Vice Mayor Ryan.
Okay. Just trying to help out.
Better be the first one to donate if I do.
All righty. Executive session, Mr. City Manager.
Yes, for 3 different purposes. The first is to consider confidential information related to specific business strategy of an applicant for economic development. The second is to consider the purchase of property for public purposes. The third is to confer with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action.
I'm going to add the second one to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official. So I'm adding that to your list there.
For those 4 items then, please.
Okay, regarding the motion related to economic development, is there a motion that there's a finding that the executive session is necessary to protect the interests of the applicant or the possible investment or the expenditure of public funds to be made in connection with an economic development project?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Pullman, second by Councilmember Vaughn. Roll call vote for that particular motion.
Moeller,
Yes?
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Motion adopted, 7-0.
Okay, that motion was adopted at 7:36. Is there a motion we go into executive session for all the items mentioned by the city manager?
So moved.
Second. Motion by Councilmember Vaughn, second by Vice Mayor Ryan. Roll call vote on that, please.
Moeller,
Yes?
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Motion adopted, 7-0.
That's also 7:36. So we're going to go into executive session, upstairs, downstairs, down here. Okay. There'll be no other public business except to adjourn the regular meeting. Thank you all for being here.
Go ahead.